Hey there folks, I went on a vacation recently and I found that when I got back after not playing guitar for 9 days, that my alternate picking was crap, and so was my legato. And so, out of my frustration, I devised a plan, a cunning plan, to get better at the guitar all over again, and I'm here today to share that with you. So the first thing I did was I got this little stylus pick here, which basically forces you to pick more precisely, and that was something that I found was a big issue. My upstrokes and downstrokes weren't very even. So I got my little stylus pick and it's actually quite special. And the funny thing about this pick and the mean thing about this pick is that if you get it caught behind this little ridge at the tip of the pick here, you're gonna have a bad time. This is what happens. Extremely obnoxious to deal with. Actually, no one wants to deal with that. But, so I'd sit down and try to practice eighth notes or quarter notes with a metronome. So I'd be doing things like this. And after I got comfortable with playing open notes, I would start to do little patterns of like Blocrian. It is still quite tough for me, even now, just because I haven't used it in quite a little while, but it's quite useful, so I recommend it immensely. The other good reason why I do use the stylus pick is the fact that it keeps you very consistent in your attack. And alternate picking or outside picking is very much dependent upon a good, continuously effective attack. That's why people like John Petrucci sound so good, or Matt Perrin sounds so good, or Travis Montgomery sounds so good. They have very consistent, great attack when they're doing alternate picking, and it's not, you know, flubby or imprecise. Quite the opposite, actually. I find that outside or alternate picking is far more eloquent at delivering a barrage of notes than economy picking. Economy picking delivers you about 1 billion notes, but you only really understand a little bit of what's going on. So I treat economy picking as very much a hyper speed. Economy picking is also inside picking between the strings. The other thing that I really enjoy about alternate picking is the fact that you also have to realize how much of the string you are displacing, as opposed to just grazing. So, in camera B here, we're going to take a look at what I'm talking about. This is what I mean by string displacement. You can see that the string vibrates and that the pick is, you know, fairly stiffly held. But if you do displace it too much, you have this kind of thing happening. Too much stiffness, too much displacement, you sound like... So the idea is to displace it the right amount, not too much, not too little. This is what too little looks like. There's just nothing going on there. The passive pickups are like, dude, there's no power, there's no balls in there. So that is also kind of the difference between economy picking and alternate picking as well. There's far less pick hitting the string, displacing the string in economy picking, and there isn't supposed to be. It's supposed to be very fast in the first place, but that is just something to note. So let's talk about pick control. At the end of the day, you really want to have the best control when it comes to outside picking, and you want to be able to angle your pick the right way. I usually use a fairly good, you know, 20 degree angle of the pick approaching the string, but then I like to push it downwards. So what I mean by that is it's as if I'm playing a little sweep arpeggio, right? And as you can see in camera B, the pick is very much, I'm hyperbolizing a bit, the pick is very much going this way. But here's the reason why. When you're doing upstrokes, you don't want to travel too far. I find that if you're a bit backed up, your hand positioning is more like this, you have to reach more for those upstrokes, which isn't efficient in terms of the way that you move your wrist. So why not angle that pick downwards and let's see what happens. So that was a very poor explanation. Let me explain this one more time a bit more properly. The idea with alternate picking is to have your pick 20 degrees to your guitar string that you're picking. You also want to have a downward slant as if you are doing a sweep arpeggio. That way you are going to get the best sound out of your guitar pick, out of yourself, and out of your guitar in terms of alternate picking. Now obviously you need to find the angle that works best for you because it's your hand and your pick positioning, but this works very well, and it's what helped me develop the far better alternate picking technique. So in terms of economy picking, your pick is more parallel to the string. In terms of alternate picking, you're lifting off, you're getting a bit more attack out of the sheer angle of your pick hitting the strings. In both scenarios, you're kind of putting your pick downwards towards the floor as opposed to staying very rigid, because you don't want to have that kind of feeling, because you start to lose control of the string of the pick. So it's no good. It's just no good, Frank. The other thing I like to do is odd groupings of notes. So I would do things like this. 1, 2, 3. You can notice that I was accenting the first out of 5 notes as opposed to 4 or 6 or 8, and that's another great thing you can do. And I do recommend writing your own riffs as well, so that you really practice it and use it actually so that it's musical as opposed to just open notes. Another example would be this. I wrote this riff ages ago. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that turns into a 16-note phrase, which is useful because you get used to being able to pick like that. So that's another great thing, is that you can practice odd time signature stuff. And maybe some people will be like, that's a little too genty for me, bro. That's why you make riffs, not open notes happen, alright? So to give you a little rundown of what I like to do, I do practice with the stylus pick for at least 10 or 15 minutes, open notes, whatever, get my hand really focused, make sure that I have the perfect kind of attack, that I'm able to use a certain amount of the pick and stick to it and stay consistent, and then I switch over to my, my current favorite pick of choice. And I take it from there and practice odd time signature things. I like to practice against the metronome. Usually, the slower the metronome, the better, because then you also are thinking about, okay, what is the actual note value that I'm using? Am I doing 8th note triplets, 8th notes, quarter notes, 16th notes, 16th note triplets? Tongue twisting at this point, right? But I like to think about all these things so that I can feel it a little bit more. And I do suggest tapping your foot along here and there to a slower metronome and really trying to play against it and not with it. That's why I like things like this. You kind of look ridiculous, and I'm sure I looked a little bit stupid, but it is a lot of fun because you have to really focus on the pulse, and getting around it and feeling it is a better education, I think, than just staring at a piece of paper saying, you have to play this note here, and then there's a rest, and then you have to do this. I think that that's a little less intuitive. This is definitely a more hands-on approach to learning more complicated rhythms. So with that, I hope that you guys really enjoyed this video. I've been working on getting it out to you guys for quite some time, and I really hope that there is some useful stuff in here. I definitely wish I learned all the things that I just told you guys at the beginning of my guitar playing, because it definitely would have saved me some trouble. And finally, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. It helps me out a lot, and I very much appreciate it, and hope to deliver you guys more excellent content. So yeah, have a good one, YouTube.